3 months from now, 19-year-old Kai Vale would be found lying alone in the middle of an abandoned highway. It was past midnight. Heavy rain crashed against the road. Lightning tore through the black sky, and Kai's motionless body lay beneath the storm. His clothes were ripped. Blood ran down the side of his face, mixing with the rainwater beneath him. There were no cars, no houses, no people coming to save him, and strangely, Kai had no memory of how he had gotten there. For several seconds, nothing happened. Then his right hand moved. A faint blue light suddenly appeared beneath the skin of his wrist. At first, it looked like a tiny spark of electricity, but the light slowly began twisting into a strange symbol, the first mark. Kai's eyes opened. He gasped for air and tried to push himself up, but terrible pain shot through his body. What happened to me? Before he could understand anything, his wrist began burning again. A second symbol appeared beside the first. Then a third. Kai stared at his arm in horror. What the hell is this? Another wave of pain hit him. The fourth mark appeared. Then the fifth. Then the sixth. With every new mark, the blue light grew stronger until it illuminated the rain falling around him. Kai screamed and grabbed his arm. Then suddenly, everything stopped. For one strange moment, Kai couldn't hear the rain. He couldn't hear the thunder. He could only hear his own heartbeat. And then the seventh mark appeared. The instant it formed, a mysterious voice spoke inside his head. Kai Vale. Kai froze. He looked around the empty highway, but there was nobody there. Who are you? The voice ignored his question. Instead, it said something far more terrifying. Your entire life was built on a lie. Kai's breathing became heavier. What are you talking about? Your mother lied about your father. Kai shook his head. His father, Adrian Vale, had died when Kai was only 4 years old. At least, that was what his mother had told him his entire life. But the voice whispered again. Adrian Vale is alive. Kai's face went pale. No, that's impossible. Then the 7 marks suddenly began glowing together. The voice gave him one final warning. The moment the 7th mark awakened, your father felt it too. Kai slowly looked into the darkness surrounding the highway. And now, Kai, he knows you are alive. A flash of lightning illuminated the road. For just a second, Kai thought he saw a tall figure standing far away in the rain, watching him. Then darkness returned. 3 months earlier, Kai Vale was just an ordinary 19-year-old boy. He had no idea what the 7 marks were. He had no idea his father might still be alive. And most importantly, he had no idea that the worst night of his life had already begun moving toward him. 3 months earlier, Kai Vale's life was completely ordinary. Every morning he woke before sunrise in the small apartment he shared with his mother, Elena. At 19, Kai spent most of his days working at a warehouse on the edge of the city. The job was exhausting and the pay wasn't great, but Kai never complained. His mother had raised him alone for almost 15 years, and Kai had promised himself that one day she wouldn't have to worry about money anymore. That morning, Kai walked into the kitchen and found Elena standing silently beside the window. "Morning, Mom." Elena quickly turned around. For a moment, Kai noticed something strange in her expression. Fear. But it disappeared almost immediately. "You're going to be late," she said. Kai smiled and sat down for breakfast. While eating, he noticed Elena repeatedly looking at his right wrist. Finally, Kai laughed. "Okay, what's wrong?" "Nothing," Elena replied. "You've been staring at me all morning." Elena forced a smile. "I'm your mother. I'm allowed to." Kai shook his head and continued eating. Before leaving for work, he noticed an old photograph partially hidden beneath some papers. He picked it up. The photograph showed a younger Elena standing beside a tall, dark-haired man. Kai immediately recognized him. His father, Adrian Vale. Kai had been told that Adrian died in a car accident when Kai was only 4 years old. "Mom, where did you find this?" The moment Elena saw the photograph, her expression changed. She quickly took it from his hand. It was inside an old box. Kai stared at her. "You never talk about him." Elena remained silent. Then Kai asked quietly, "How did Dad really die?" "A car accident." It was the same answer she had given him his entire life. But this time, Kai noticed her hands trembling. "Mom, are you okay?" "I'm fine. You need to go to work." Kai grabbed his jacket and headed toward the door. Just before he left, Elena suddenly called his name. Kai. He turned around. If you ever see something strange, something blue, I want you to come straight home. Kai frowned. Something blue? What are you talking about? I'm serious. Kai didn't understand, but seeing the fear in her eyes, he nodded. Okay. Then he left. The moment the door closed, Elena locked it. She looked down at Adrian's photograph and slowly turned it over. Something was written on the back. A date. Kai's 20th birthday. And beneath it were 4 words. The first mark, awakens. Elena's face went pale. Kai's birthday was still months away. She stared at the photograph and whispered, "It's starting too early." Kai reached the warehouse just before his shift began. The building was enormous, filled with endless shelves, heavy machines, and hundreds of boxes waiting to be moved. For Kai, it was just another normal day. He put on his work gloves, grabbed a scanner, and started checking shipments. Hours passed without anything unusual. But around noon, something changed. Kai was carrying a box toward the back storage area when suddenly every light above him flickered. Once. Twice. Then everything went dark. Kai stopped walking. Seriously? He waited for the emergency lights to turn on. Nothing happened. The entire warehouse had gone silent. Even the machines had stopped. Kai pulled out his phone and switched on the flashlight. Hello? No answer. He slowly walked between the shelves. That was when he heard something. A faint metallic sound coming from somewhere deeper inside the storage area. Clink. Kai stopped. Anyone there? Silence. Then the sound came again. Clink, clink. Kai followed it until he reached an old section of the warehouse that workers rarely used. At the end of the aisle stood a large metal door. Kai had worked there for almost a year, but he had never noticed that door before. A small blue light was glowing above it. Kai stared at it. Immediately, he remembered his mother's warning. If you ever see something strange, something blue, come straight home. Kai stepped backward. Nope. He turned around. Then he heard something from behind the door. A voice. Very faint. Kai! His entire body froze. He slowly turned back toward the door. Who's there? No response. Kai walked closer. The blue light above the door began flickering faster. Then suddenly, his right wrist started burning. Kai dropped his phone. Ah! He grabbed his wrist. For just a second, something appeared beneath his skin. A tiny blue line. Then it vanished. Kai stared at his wrist. What the hell was that? Suddenly, the metal door unlocked by itself. Click. Kai looked up. The door slowly opened a few inches. Cold air escaped from the darkness behind it. And lying on the floor inside was something Kai never expected to see. An old photograph. Kai picked it up. His heart immediately began pounding. The man in the photograph was Adrian Vale, his father. But this photograph wasn't 15 years old. A date was printed in the corner. 6 months ago. Kai stared at it in disbelief. That's impossible. Then the warehouse lights suddenly came back on. Kai looked toward the metal door. It was gone. There was only a solid concrete wall in front of him. But the photograph was still in his hand. Kai stood frozen, staring at the photograph in his hand. His father was supposed to have died 15 years ago, yet the date showed the picture had been taken only 6 months earlier. Kai slowly turned it over. 3 words were written on the back. Don't trust her. Kai stared at the message. Her. Then his mother's face appeared in his mind. No, Mom wouldn't. He immediately called Elena. No answer. He tried again. Still nothing. Kai grabbed his jacket and rushed out of the warehouse. On the way home, questions raced through his mind. Was his father really alive? Why had Elena lied to him for 15 years? When Kai reached his apartment, the front door was slightly open. Mom? Kai stepped inside. The apartment was completely dark. Mom! No answer. Then he noticed the old photograph of Adrian lying torn on the floor. Suddenly a sound came from Elena's bedroom. Kai rushed inside. The room was empty, but a small wooden box was sitting on Elena's bed. His name was carved into the top. Kai Vale. Kai slowly opened it. Inside was an old black notebook. On the first page was the exact same blue symbol that had appeared beneath his skin at the warehouse. Below it were 2 words, 7 marks. Kai quickly turned through the pages. They were filled with names, dates, symbols, and strange warnings. Then he reached the final page. An old photograph was attached to it. 7 people were standing together. Kai immediately recognized Adrian, his father. 6 faces had been crossed out. Only Adrian's remained. Beneath the photograph, Elena had written, "If Kai awakens, Adrian will come for him." Kai suddenly heard movement behind him. He turned around. Elena was standing in the doorway. Her face went pale when she saw the notebook. "Kai, put that down." Kai held up the recent photograph of Adrian. "Tell me the truth. Dad is alive, isn't he?" Elena remained silent. "Mom." Finally she whispered, "Yes." Kai froze. Before he could ask anything else, every light in the apartment suddenly went out. His right wrist began burning. The blue symbol appeared beneath his skin again. But this time, it didn't disappear. Elena stared at his wrist in horror. "No, it's happening too early." Then 3 slow knocks came from the front door. Knock, knock, knock. Kai and Elena stared toward the darkness. A man's voice came from the other side. "Kai." Elena immediately grabbed his arm. "Whatever happens, do not open that door." Silence. Then the voice spoke again. "Son." Kai's eyes widened. He hadn't heard that voice since he was 4 years old. But somehow, he remembered it. His father was standing on the other side of the door. To be continued.